While to some people, working from home for a company seems like heaven on earth for them. I prefer not diving into that, not getting into that, because, well, I'm not that superficial in the end, and I kind of prefer ending up studying all the possible layers of something. And one thing that we all can be sure about is that this society was never designed to support us or to aid us in any way, shape, or form, right? So, if you are to think a bit about that, working from your own home, would it sound like a heaven if you are to work for someone else, a company, right? If you are doing your own thing, you're doing your own business or something like that, that's a wholly different thing. But when you're hired and you're working a job and you want to work it from home, is it necessarily something good? Well, I don't see it as a good thing in the end because, first and foremost, it's like agreeing for that company to actually invade your private space. Maybe you will think, I do have all the time in the world. You don't have any time. You're even more restricted, and you're restricted in your comfort zone. What that psychologically does to you in time, over the course of months or years, depending on your psyche, is it programs you to accept things and to become even more mediocre than usual. Because you're going to get used to the idea that you're actually being used in your own house. Yes? Many people say, but I can get some snacks, I can enjoy stuff. Well, when you work from home, what will you typically work? You will work a stupid ass job like sales, probably, or you will work some silly job like, customer support. Obviously, both are important. I'm not saying no, but both have their own depression, right? First and foremost, the biggest psychological issue that I have with that is when you work at an office, you at least wake up at a certain hour, you go through public transportation, or you go by car, and you at least have the, let's say, determination to show up at the office, right? This is kind of negated when it comes to working from home because you can sleep, you can stay in your bed a bit longer, you can watch movies while you are handling your clients or during the boring, meetings and the such. I kind of never liked the idea of meetings. I always imagine some bozo sitting there acting as if they know everything, talking to you about progress, but I don't think they know what that word actually means. Probably they don't even know how to find it in a fucking damn dictionary in their own language. That is, if they even know one. So, when it comes to this, there are a lot of downsides that people overlook. Many people are kind of superficial, so these things will probably not matter much to those. But when you let yourself invaded by the job, they're handling your own time. It is easy for them to tell you, when you're at their office, how about you work extra, right? And they'll pay you more. But, it's the fact that when you work extra hours, you're kind of dwindling your own spare time. That creates some depression because imagine that you also have a family and a job, or university and a job, or things like that, which will strip you of all your spare time, right? Then you also waste a lot of time with TikToks or things like that. When you do that, it will overload your brain with so much things. You're gonna feel tired all the fucking time. And then you're also gonna feel dependent on that because there's gonna be so much stuff requiring you, so much stuff to do for others and never for you. Sooner or later, you'll start feeling tired, drained, depressed because in the end, you're working for everyone else, but what the fuck are you doing for yourself? Right? What are you doing now that you can thank yourself later for having had the courage to have done it? Right? So one has to take into account the psychological aspects also because you have emotions, you have a mind, you have a psyche. You're not just a physical body designed to just work and work and work. Yes, in a sick society, maybe this matters to those because after all this society is about is just exploiting you since birth, teaching you that you're nothing else than a number that is supposed to work till you die, and well, you're technically nothing else than a battery that supports this sick system, and kind of obviously you will be discarded like a battery when it runs empty, right? And when you look at the trend in Europe, in the so-called European world, in the Western world, they seem to be pushing towards raising the limit at which you can go to pension, right? The age at which you can retire, right? They've done that in France. I'm not sure if they succeeded though, but well, I don't think Macron will be for too long against that, right? They will definitely impose it sooner or later. It's gonna be imposed in as many parts of the world because ignorant governments won't take care anything about you, right? They won't do anything. Even when you speak government, right? When you speak governmental work, what does it sound like? It's governmental work, right? Everything that can be done possibly to shape your opinion into supporting the system, right? Into filling the cracks of the system. So, when we think about working from home, you may say, but well, in between the clients that I deal with, I do have some spare time in between, right? So, the question is, how much time do you have? You don't know. Maybe you'll have half an hour, maybe you'll have 2 minutes, right? And um, you may do something in between. Well, maybe you can do some stuff, but if you want to do really something important, it's not gonna take 2 or 3 minutes of break time, right? And then imagine working at home and you're suddenly struck by an explosive diarrhea, right? It's like, okay, and then you get called by one of the clients. Imagine having to go through a diarrhea and a client at the same time. That's going to be, in many situations, two fucking diarrheas at the same time. Because let's face it, when you deal with customer support, why is it that people usually call you? They're typically calling you to tell you that they are the fucking problem, not that they actually have a problem. Because you're gonna be met with people stupid enough to call you that their machine is not working, but they haven't even plugged it in, right? They haven't even plugged it in and their machine is not working. It's like, oh my gosh. Can you imagine that such people can actually be calling you? It's like, oh yes, please call me while I have an explosive diarrhea. I would definitely pay for that. So if we think a bit about things like this, the fact that you're invaded in your own home and you simply don't realize can have a bit of can present a few things. Yes, you don't have well set boundaries. I've said for a long time, well, thanks to my upbringing, somewhat violent, psychologically violent upbringing, I may say that I grew up having some strong boundaries because I said I'm not going to work from home. Okay, at least I will have the decency and the moral to the what's it called? The not the moral, the well, I will actually have the dignity of showing up at an office. Yes, it may take a while to drive and the such, but when you wake up and you jump straight to your bed and you work from there, you're gonna just teach yourself to be lazy as fuck. And then you're gonna still sit in your bed watching TikToks or Twitch streams and the such. I mean, obviously it's nothing bad with that, but you don't want your life to be all about just sitting in bed, right? You want to move your body, you want to live life. If you just end up in that paralyzed state in which you're probably not even gonna need your legs anymore, you'll probably be surprised one day that you can't even stand on them, right? All of these little things have been carefully thought about, right? These don't happen um, out of the blue, right? They don't want just slaves. They want slaves who are very, submissive. And it is a great level of submission to simply work from your home because many people forget the fact that working from your home means allowing the sanctum that your home should be to be invaded by forces that you don't want, right? The energies at your workplace, which is most likely, like in many environments of an ignorant society, a place that doesn't care much about you. Don't you see this trend going on in so many workplaces? They want you to do 1,000 things, but it's like in the end you draw a line and you kind of almost ask them, but is there a salary involved? Because it's like no bonuses, no this, no gas for your car, no extras, no nothing, but you are required to do 100 things. It's like broski, I'm hired for one single thing, not for 20 things. Yes, the uh, job owners that respect themselves will pay you extra if you do something outside of your curricula, right? Because, well, you might be asked to do something else if you have the specialization and people know about that, but your job, for example, doesn't include that. You may be asked to do something else, but whoever respects themselves will pay you separately for that. But in a sick society, it's all about, cutting as many jobs because people have this stupid impression that AI will replace people and will do everything so much better. See, AI needs people to function. Yes, AI has servers that it functions on, and believe me, it's not going to be just one or two, three computers. You're going to require a field full of computers to function, right? Because you're going to need so much fucking data from across the whole fucking world, right? We're not talking about the Library of Alexandria anymore. We're talking about libraries that, would probably span on a whole continent if you were to make them physical, right? There is that much knowledge in this whole world. So all of that you compact in digital format, yes, but you're gonna need huge computers to be able to compute that, right? To handle all that data and the such. Don't think that DeepSeek and the such, you have them on your portable mobile phone or on your PC or the such. Don't think that that is everything, right? You're just using a demo version of it. That is not the real AI that is out there. Yes, they are very powerful tools, but you're only going to use a demo version of that even if you pay for that, right? Because you're not going to be allowed literally everything, right? You cannot contrast with that. You cannot enter certain databases that are, behind a paywall, right? So when you work from home, it's not going to make any difference. You're still working the same amount of time. If you're having some of those nepotism situations when you have to do an idiot's job as well, you're going to still be paid for one single job because that's how much people care about you anyways, right? You're going to be in situations where you're probably the best in your company and you still have to do the job of other peers, but you're not going to necessarily be paid extra, right? You're just going to be used as a battery. And the fact that you're working from home in some situations, not all, but I'm just drawing attention for some situations, the psychological aspect of it will be that it will make you even more complacent. And then when you are kicked out of that job or you simply no longer like that job, it's going to be harder to find a job where you simply mm, will be working from home. Not all jobs allow that, yes. And then you have some jobs who say that you can work from home, but they will require you to actually come to the office every now and then, or like literally every time. And then the strategy is they let you work from home, then they require you to also come to the office, right? That is the psychology of it, because they don't want you to be fully comfortable, right? It's the it's a very horrible design called the 99% comfort, 1% pain, right? They get you hooked that you work for a long time from home, then you are called at the office, and then from time to time, and then you're going to work on the office full time, right? And then this is also, I think, some NGOs, some pesky NGOs do this as well. Then you're gonna have to work 8 hours for them, and then they're gonna give you some extra work at home. Because to some people, they will get complacent enough with working from home that they will easily accept to also work from home. And that's when you are deliberately, specifically invaded into your own home. Yes? Maybe you will think that, hey, at least I don't pay for the gas. Yes, but if you don't pay for the gas, you're gonna forget about responsibilities. Have you forgotten in the pandemic when they were, and even a bit after, when they were paying people to stay home and not work? How many months did they do that? Yes? Did you think that was done for nothing? Did you think they were actually giving you money? Don't forget about the fact that they were printing all that money all the time, right? When you look at America, that's, I would say, the biggest contrast in the whole fucking world because they've been printing money from the 77s, but for some reason the population is becoming more and more poor by the day. That's gonna suck hard for them because it's a big country and it's a country that's used people like no that has people used to the fact that they have had money and they wouldn't worry much. Like me, I'm from Balkan region, right? I'm from Romania. It doesn't matter much. We've always been like last 1,000 years we weren't even allowed to have a national image or something. We here in this place know what it truly means to be tired most of the time, to be used most of the time. We know what it is like to be abused. We know what it is like to be poor, right? And not just poor, live from now to tomorrow. Yes, each and every fucking day of our lives. To us, being poor, well, it doesn't kind of matter. Every new regime that came around us, the life didn't become in any way, shape, or form better. During communism, you had money, but you didn't have much thing to buy. You didn't have too much stress about, not knowing where to go next or things like that. Now, in this so-called pseudo-American or American pseudo-dream, or more like the Zionist dream, um, you don't have too much money, but you have a lot of things that you can possibly buy, right? There are so many temptations, but not the money for them. And as things go, you're kind of paid almost always the same amount of money, but at the same time, money kind of loses its value, right? This kind of sucks if we are to think a bit about it. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness about the topic. I'm not saying it's necessarily and generally bad, but don't forget, the purpose of a sick society is to keep you ignorant. Ignorance thrives when you don't have any responsibility. And many things, including being allowed to work from home, can actually have that as a purpose. Maybe to some companies, it's not necessarily for the manipulative aspect of it, but we live in a sick society, and my purpose, in a way, is to remind people of the misery that society can use against you. And first and foremost, it must get you used to it. Yes? Hopefully, this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated. Take care. Enjoy life. This being said, Ferenjan Board signing out.